Good morning, Shawn. How are you?
Very good, Sabrina. Yourself?
Good, thank you. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. This is our coffee and tea interview series, set two, as you like it, with members of the Young Executive Society of the CIPH. My name is Sabrina Maraj. I'm an IT director at Wolseley Canada, and this morning I'll be interviewing Shawn Hulshof, our VP of Category Management. Morning, Shawn.
Good morning, Sabrina. Great to be
All
here.
right. Would you like to do any intro for yourself, or do you want to jump in right into this or that questions?
Let's get right into the this or that. I'm really excited about this.
All right. Okay. So the big question first off, coffee or tea?
Let's go coffee.
Oh, I got my big cup of tea
Yeah.
here. iPhone or Android?
Android.
Mm, ditto. I'm due for an upgrade, and I'm waiting for the release on Thursday.
Yeah. It causes a lot of conversation at home, but yeah, I've been steadfast on the Android front for a number of years.
Ditto. Concert or sport event?
Sporting.
Nice. Wine or beer?
Beer.
Phone call or text?
Text.
the millennials and us.
Yes,
That's what
right.
it is.
That's right.
Windows or Mac?
Windows.
Me too. Video games or board games?
I'm gonna go old school in this one. Board games.
Yeah. We'll talk about Settlers of Catan and stuff like that later, right?
Okay.
Sleep in or early riser?
Early riser.
Cool. All right. So that's where we're going first thing in the morning today. All right. So thank you again, Shawn, for participating in our interview series. The purpose of this is just for younger folks in the industry to get more exposure to more experienced folks, or just a general exposure to experiences and variety throughout the industry. So let's start up with some open-ended questions. So, like, you've been with Wolseley for, is it going on 3 years now?
Yeah, we're into year 3 already.
Yeah. And I think, you had a different industry experience and now coming into this plumbing industry. But I would say, this may be a common thing across any career type of advice. So what's the best piece of advice you'd offer to someone new in their career?
So I think the best piece of advice, it's twofold. First and foremost, be brave. It can be whether you are, kind of coming out of post-secondary, or whether you're coming out of that first opportunity into something a little bit bigger. Be brave. Embrace the opportunity. It's when we really stretch our limits, that and really get a bit uncomfortable, is when we learn the most about ourselves and can produce the greatest results. I look back in some of my, career moments, if you will, and it's when I made myself uncomfortable is really, when I experienced years of really strong success, whether it was, exceeding KPIs or, even just developing from my own perspective. I look back and those were the years that were probably some of the most uncomfortable, and that's okay. The second piece is, as we develop in our roles, there's don't forget the value of time. It's actually really beneficial for you to season yourself in a role, right? And get comfortable with not only what you do, but the roles around you, whether they're direct or indirect from a supporting perspective. A lot of the times, and I was guilty of this earlier on in my career, what we have such great aspirations of, I want to become a manager, I want to be a people leader, I want to be a director, I want a path to become a vice president, or beyond. And I think some of the best advice that I was given and leveraged earlier on in my career was enjoy what's in front of you and really sink your teeth in and season yourself in that. And when you actually stop focusing or chasing titles, things will actually just start to open up, and naturally, you'll see this progression in your development and in your career path. So those are kind of the two, things that I'd gravitate to.
Those are great pieces of advice, and I wholeheartely agree. And I've seen the results of adjusting your attitude throughout my own career in those ways. So thank you for that. What are the most important attributes of successful leaders today, you'd say?
Uh, great, great question. So first and foremost, listen. Listen to understand, listen to gain perspective, stop listening to respond, right? Far too often, we're in a conversation. Uh, I am listening to respond in this type of a setting, but when you're with your team, with your organization, listen to gain a deep understanding. And it is okay to ask questions to really get a full in-depth understanding. It's like get comfortable with the messy center and don't just automatically solution right away. When we do that, sometimes we get a win, but there are lots of times where we're going back because we didn't quite solve the problem. We didn't quite leverage a full opportunity. Um, other piece of advice that I would give there, in addition to really, is um, I would say it's okay to embrace disruption. Um, a lot of the times, and we're all very accustomed to this, we're in a situation where someone in the crowd says, "Well, we've always done it like this," right? To get comfortable with disrupting the tradition, because if we don't, especially in this industry, we run the risk of being disrupted by new entrants, by others that think they can do it better than us, by others that are you know operating in different channels today, because they look at our area of business as an opportunity of expansion. So we need to disrupt ourselves in order to keep those who want to disrupt our industry out.
Yeah. And that's a perfect segue into my next question, which is what impacts do you see in our industry of younger leaders moving into more senior roles? And how does it change our culture?
Yeah, it is going to change our culture dramatically, I think. It's going to change the school of thought, if you will. Um, and the only area that I would say we need to be very mindful of is this is very much and still remains a relationship based industry, which is awesome because people are at the heart and center of everything that we. So it's going to be mission critical for leaders like myself, leaders like yourself, and everyone out there to really take the time to build cross-functional and cross-team relationships inside and outside of their organization. So what really taking I take every opportunity from a CIPH perspective to connect with industry peers, connect with individuals who I've not met before, because what we're going to be looking back 5, 10 years and ones that have fostered and held the current relationships. And so that's mission critical. I also think that as this industry evolves and new leaders start to step into more senior level roles, we're going to have experience come from outside of our industry, and that is okay. I think we really have a good strong balance of legacy. I've grown up in the plumbing and heating and HVAC and finished plumbing space, all the way through to I'm coming in from the outside, quote
Mm.
unquote, with some new ideas, maybe a playbook that can help us. Maybe some thoughts that will expand our horizon. Embrace it.
Mm-hmm.
I really think we embrace it and give that some thought. I know myself personally, kind of coming in from Mosley from a very different wholesale environment, it's very interesting because there are more similarities than there are differences.
Mm-hmm.
And the challenges that I faced in other businesses are very similar to the challenges we face as an industry or our current organization. And the playbooks and the opportunities that we've leveraged to help guide our way through it, can now serve a revised purpose, if you will. So yeah, I would, that would be the advice and sharing that I'd give with, to anyone who, coming in or expanding their reach with industry.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Um, All right. So, are there any norms you'd like to see shift? Are there values and behaviors that you're working to embed within your own team?
Yeah, I would say, diversity and inclusion. Um, it's so important, for us to really reflect the community that, we live in. And Canada is one of the most diverse countries in the world. Uh, it may be a surprise, but, I'm a first generation Canadian. And so I know firsthand from, my family when they were here, and, my grandfather was a skilled trade, and so really recognized, he served his community. And so and what an opportunity we have as an industry to reflect, the diversity in gender and culture, and so many other facets, so that we are viewed as the best resource for all of our customers that we serve, and all of our trades that we serve, and certainly all of those who are looking to develop their career. So that's definitely one that comes front of mind. Another one, and I've already talked about it, is embracing disruption. I think that we very cliche, but we need to actually get outside of the box that we sometimes limit ourselves with, and that is from an organization perspective, from an industry perspective, and really push the boundaries before they're pushed against us.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't want someone else writing our future for us, right? We,
Absolutely
as an
not.
industry, we need to take a lead within and amongst ourselves.
Absolutely not. And I think the only thing I would add to that too is, if we look back in the last 28 months, we were really forced to get uncomfortable,
Yeah.
with, a new way of working, a new way of engaging customers. And we are still living through some of the aftermath from a supply chain challenge. Um, and also looking at, hey, you know what, we've been almost 2 years, and a lot of major investment projects from an organization perspective have probably been put on hold, right? So now it's time to really kick that into high gear, catch up, and really over deliver for our customers in Canadian coast to coast.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So I think that's it for us today, Shawn. Thank you for your time. I'm glad that we made it short and sweet. If there's any final thoughts you'd like to share? But
Yeah, I think for me, I think the Young Executive Society is very noble part of CIPH. It's interesting when you reached out and you said, "Hey, you know what? The Young Exec Society would love to, spend some time and interview you." I thought, well, aren't I a part of that group too, right? And it's a glowing example of the work that CIPH is doing to really engage at all levels. And certainly, the only thing I would say to any of the viewers that end up seeing this is, listen, at the next CIPH industry event, come on up, say hello, introduce yourself, and let's continue to collaborate. Let's continue to really challenge ourselves, and really push the boundaries of how we can serve our customers from coast to coast. So I can't wait to hear from all of you. So yeah, that's what I'll leave you with, Sabrina.
that's awesome. I can't top that. I can't
Yeah,
top that, Shawn. So all right. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and look out for more interviews in our coffee and tea series. And thanks again, Shawn. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks
thanks so
everyone.
much, everybody.